All right, good evening. It is now 7 o'clock. And we will call the Gresham-Barlow Board of Education, Wednesday, February 5th, 2025, regular board business meeting to order. Sean, would you go ahead and lead us in the allegiance, please?
Ready, begin. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
With us this evening, we have myself, Chris Howard, Polly Regan, Vice Chair, Blake Peterson, Director, David Lickitich, Director, Dr. Sean Barnes, Director. Absent is Dr. Myra Gomez. With that, we do have a quorum, so I would entertain a motion to approve the meeting agenda as presented. I don't know of any other changes or anything in the meeting agenda, so.
I move to approve the meeting agenda as presented.
Been moved by Blake, seconded by Polly to move the meeting agenda as presented. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. And I did not ask ahead of time, but Polly, would you mind reading the?
In English.
In English, yes, yes.
I can try that. Okay, we acknowledge that the land where Gresham-Barlow School District is located rests on the ancestral and unceded lands of the Multnomah, Calumet, Clackamas, Tualatin, Kalapuya, Molalla, bands of the Chinook, and many other tribes who made their homes along the Columbia River. We also acknowledge the systemic policies of genocide, relocation, and assimilation that still impact many Indigenous Native American families today. As settlers and guests on these lands, we respect the work of Native nations, leaders, and families, and make ongoing efforts to center Indigenous knowledge, creativity, resilience, and resistance. We consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that bring us here today.
Thank you. And February is also Black History Month. And if you recall last year, I brought forward some information about a mathematician who was instrumental in making sure that we had working operational GPS system. When I went to look up some more information for this meeting tonight, I realized that one of the things that kept coming up when I said I'm looking for information was it came up with Dorothy Porter. And she is the one who actually had a large hand in creating a better way to preserve, search for, and study Black-centered material. She was born in 1905, and her first degree was from Howard University in 1928. 1930, she became the librarian at Howard University. Budget was tight, but she had a way of going out, talking to authors, musicians, and publishers around the world to collect material. She used that tenacious curiosity to build one of the leading repositories for Black history and culture at Howard's Moreland Spingarn Research Center. If I said it wrong, sorry. Back in 1914 and 1946, Howard University received 2 large collections of books. And this is where Dorothy came in. In 1932, so she got her first degree in 1930. She then went on in 1932 and was the first African-American to receive a library science degree from Columbia University. As part of her studies, she was having to look up material, and she realized at the time, and this is a quote from her, that prior to that, libraries were relied, there we go, on the Dewey Decimal Classification. In the words of Dorothy, now in that system, they had one number, 326, that meant slavery, and another one, 325, that meant colonization. Those were the only 2 categories that Black authors, musicians, people who had done works, studies, theories, research, that was the only way that you could find them. They were categorized in one of those 2 ways. So she decided that she would create a different way to classify works. She was able to research and come up with ways to classify them by genre and author, to highlight the foundational role of Black people in all subject areas, which she identified as art, anthropology, communications, demography, economics, education, geography, history, health, international relations, linguistics, literature, medicine, music, political science, sociology, sports, and religion. This Afrikaner approach to cataloging was very much in line with the priorities of the Harlem Renaissance of the time. Her system challenged racism where it was produced by centering work by and about Black people within scholarly conversations around the world. This information was found in the Smithsonian Magazine, Howard University, and the Moreland Spring Research Center. So if you can find information about Black history, it's probably a result of the work that she did. So thank you. So we now come to the next section of the board agenda is guidelines, public comment. And time has been set aside on the agenda for citizens' requests of the board. There's an opportunity for the board to listen and learn from the community. Board members are not able to respond to public comments during the meeting, but appreciate hearing your input. Public comments can be submitted in writing before the meeting or given in person during the meeting. Pursuant to ORS 256, Oregon House Bill, 256(3)A, the meeting of the Gresham-Barlow School Board is also presented online to allow for virtual public attendance. So this evening, if you came in, there are yellow citizens request of the board forms that are at the entry of this room. And I don't know, Sarah, did anyone fill out an in-person form?
No, I did not get any in person.
Okay, and then we did receive one citizen's request via email this afternoon or yesterday afternoon. We received one and it is posted in our section. It is a public comment from Bill Martin, and I don't see Bill present. So the comment is there for the board to review, and the board does not read them during the meeting. We do not read them out loud or comment on them. So there is a comment from him. Next up on our agenda is the consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are considered by the board to be routine and will be enacted in by one motion. The motion requires a second and a vote. There will be no separate discussion of items on the consent agenda unless a member of the board requires specific items to be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda. In the consent agenda, we have minutes from the special work session, January 8, 2025, minutes from the business meeting, January 8, 2025, minutes from the special work session, January 11, 2025, minutes from the regular work session, January 22nd, 2025. It includes also the monthly financial report as of 12/31/2024, personnel report, employee contracts. So are there any items that board members would like to pull out of the consent agenda?
I would move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Been moved by Holly, seconded by David to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. So next, we are already up to recognitions. So Athena Badness.
Thank you, Chair Howlett. March 3rd through the 7th, 2025 has been designated as Classified School Employees Week. And it would be appropriate that the board officially acknowledge the importance of a strong local school system and the contribution that classified employees make to that system. A resolution of acknowledgement for that purpose has been prepared for your adoption if you so desire.
Is there a motion to adopt the Classified School Employees Week resolution?
Yeah, I'll move to approve the week of March 3 through 7, 2025 as Classified School Employees Week in the Gresham-Barlow School District.
Okay. Been moved by Blake, seconded by Holly to support the resolution declaring March 3rd through 7th, 2025 as Classified School Employees Week. Is there any discussion? There is one after the vote. I will make a statement, but otherwise I have no discussion prior. Anyone else? All right, so all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So when I saw that it was Classified School Employees Week, it reminded me that we had a long-serving employee who left us in December and did not come back to board meeting for actual recognition and support and celebration. And that person is in the audience with us this evening. And I would like to thank the years of service that Hal Meyer-Dirk did for us as a classified employee. I worked with him extensively on bargaining, and Hal is with us this evening. And I'd just like to, Hal, yes, I'm gonna make you stand up. We know that you have passed on all of your institutional knowledge onto the younger folks coming up, and you are welcome to come back to our board meetings at any time. Usually we have cookies and things. I'm not sure what happened there, but We normally, I have a chocolate if you'd like a chocolate.
About that.
Yes, you want, I can throw it, except it would probably go only as far as Nat Wallace and then.
That's fine. Apparently, we didn't get any tonight, so I'll take your.
All right. But thank you, Hal, for coming this evening. And I'm not gonna put Erica on the spot to say, ooh, chocolate fine.
Chocolate, we didn't get it.
And later on, we do have a report from Tia. I don't know, Tia, if you wanted to say anything about Hal or just wait and.
Well, I was gonna say.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Oh, you're gonna save it now or?
In her report.
In a report, although Hal may not stay that long.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
that may be the thing, is he may not stay through the next 3.5 hours of the board meeting, so.
I'm just kidding. Let's see, what I wanted to say about Hal is that he's been a wonderful field rep for us. I remember working with him at Barlow, the year I was at Barlow, and then he left us. But he came back to us through the union. The work he's done for us and his knowledge is way beyond mine, and we're hoping he changes his mind about retiring, but he's not going to. He's got his lovely wife and they're both living life, so. We'll see. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, we are so happy that we got to have you back. And we wish you the very best in finding joy and just enjoy the grandkids and live life. Oh, and enjoy your chocolate. And we have a gift.
And Hal, you are welcome to come up and say something if you would like. This might be your last opportunity. We have a microphone right down here.
Did I tell you what I did while I was here?
Yeah, I'd love to. Come on down here to the microphone.
Oh.
Yeah, you have to put it on the microphone.
Well, I've been here before, back in 2009, I think it was, when I was the chapter president and we were bargaining and the winds were blowing at 95 miles an hour outside. Actually, it might have been lower outside, but at Crown Point or at the Vista House, it was 95 miles an hour. And I started working here in 2001. My wife is asking me if I remember things from early on. I said, yeah. I started working here in like the end of August 2001. On September 11th, I had to report to the portable at McCarty because I was a tech guy, and it was oddly quiet in the skies. There was no airplanes in the sky. And the person I worked with, her name was Kathy Shue. She had 2 sons that were military or CIA or something. And I knew that. And I heard on the radio what had happened. That the one tower had gone down, but the other hadn't. And so I walked in, I said to her, have you heard the news? And we didn't listen to the news when we were sitting there at our desk. She goes, no. And I go, there's a terrorist attack going on. And she freaked out and had to get a hold of her kids, which at that point was insane because everybody was trying to get a hold of their kids. And I had a daughter in Brooklyn. I have a daughter. She was in Brooklyn at the time. And that was a little paranoid for me too, as well, because she witnessed the collapse of the tower. So I worked at the tech center at first year, and then the second year I worked, opened up Hogan Cedars and Springwater Trail High School. And so I was a tech person for both of those places. And then in the third year, I got hired at Barlow High School to be the network technician. And so I pretty much, I guess I ruled the roost at the high school when it came to the network and computers and all that kind of stuff. And then I left Gresham-Barlow in 2011 and became a field rep with Oregon School Employees Association. And at first I didn't get assigned here, but later on I did. And so then I started working with the classified union here in Gresham-Barlow. And had a lot of good times, bargaining and representing people, trying to do the best I could for classified. I remember back in, I think it was about 2006 when we were bargaining, the big issue at that point in time was we ran a campaign called Close the Gap, because I remember health insurance for teachers was about $600 a month, and classified got 300 a month. And we said, that's not right. Why do they get 300? Why do we get 300 and they get 6? So we negotiated with Ken Noah and got brought up to where the teachers were. And so that was one of our big wins back in those days. And then always striving to get better pay. And actually we got the last go around when we did the interest-based bargaining, we got the classified of Gresham-Barlow up in the upper echelons of pay. In fact, I always use them in examples when I was going to Park Rose and these other districts, just look at their pay. It's huge in comparison to what you guys are paying. So, yeah, was kind of what I did. So thank you so much for inviting me tonight, and I appreciate it.
I'm gonna bump up just a couple paragraphs of my comments tonight, since Hal is here and the OSEA leadership is here, related to things Hal just said, and how I'm old enough to remember a lot of what he just said. It's been around a while. And well, don't laugh, Erica, you're old enough to remember it as well. All right.
As am I, John.
Yes, sure.
As am I.
So I'll read what I have written, but then there's a second paragraph that's kind of a bird walk, but it's related to what Cal has done and all of you have done. So I want to take this opportunity to express our sincere gratitude for the invaluable contributions of our classified staff. Their work is the backbone of our schools, providing essential support in areas ranging from transportation, food services, office management, and student support. We simply could not function without their dedication and hard work. So here's the bird walk. Even more, the OSEA leadership, we need to thank all of you that are here, Al, you included, for your continued effort to maintain a strong relationship with us. That goes back to how we bargain. Interest-based bargaining has built a very strong foundation for how we communicate, how we cooperate, and all of you sitting here, you four, were right at the core of bringing that forward. And we wouldn't be where we are with the things that you mentioned, Tal, hey, other things, without how we work together in that way. So it's a credit to all of you, but Hal, since you're here, you as well. So you have my personal appreciation, and as a district, people don't know all that broad context, but they should give you their appreciation as well. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, thank you. Mr. Cook, you're up again for the Tom Rural Ally.
Thank you, Chair. The Oregon Association of Latino Administrators, WALA, announced that Dr. Don Hoya Jackson, Director of Student Engagement and Inclusion, was chosen as this year's recipient of the Tom Rural Ally Award. This award is given annually to honor a Latino, AX, or non-Latino AX educator who has exhibited leadership in the areas of equity and cultural competence or activities aligned with the WALA's mission, purpose, and goals in their district or institution. WALA will formally present this award to Don at their winter conference held at Mountainside High School in Beaverton on February 8th. Tracy and I will be going that evening to participate in the celebration as well. And it is quite the achievement. So congratulations, Don, from all of us.
Right on top of it. 3, 1, 2, 3. Right. Yeah. Hey, it's a celebration time. Next up is Dr. Tracy Klinger for the certification for National Board for Professional Teaching Standards.
Yes, good evening, everybody. We have another nationally board recognized teacher to recognize this evening. So as we shared at our January meeting, we have a very rigorous, not we, but there's a very rigorous process that teachers go through to earn this certification. And so this is a renewal. It requires extensive documentation and assessment of one's teaching. The certification requires the completion of comprehensive portfolios documenting their teaching pedagogy, plus the intense analysis of and reflection on their teaching practice. So tonight we are honoring Samantha Ebert from East Gresham Elementary School. She's a third grade teacher, 12th year teaching. And in part of her reflection on how the National Board Certification positively impacts students, this is what she had to say. Going through the National Board Certification process has taught me to be a leader among my colleagues and continuously bring our conversations back to the essential question, how does this affect our students? It has taught me to approach learning from multiple avenues and to not see teaching as black and white, but rather as a chance to try and learn alongside my students. So please join me in congratulating her and Samantha, come on up.
These days. Heading down the path of memory lane, I remember when we did our first group of graduates that went through that program and what a fantastic thing it was. And I know that Gresham-Barlow has had at one time the greatest number of teachers who participated, who've gone back for their renewal. We have been in the forefront of making sure that our teachers have that opportunity. So Tracy's nod their head, so
Well, I
yes.
checked with Samantha earlier tonight. We have 15 at this.
Okay, all right.
We've
And-
had as many as 30-ish. So.
Okay, and I know over the years, many, so, all right, thank you. All right, so next up, it says we're supposed to, do we have someone from the foundation here tonight?
Mhm.
There we go, okay, thank you. All right,
Good evening. Thanks for having me. My name is Tyson. I'm the president of the Gresham-Barlow Education Foundation. Thanks for having me. Just kind of give you guys some updates. We have booked our annual golf tournament, August 18th at Persimmon. So hopefully someone can join us. We'll be sending out some news on that as well to our past sponsors. But want to get into it. So year to date, start of the school year to now, we have funded over 13 grants throughout the school district. So totaling a little over 24,000 that we have given to the school district and school grants. More coming. We have graciously been given a donation from Tokala Properties, a little over 22,000. So we have some money, and we're looking forward to seeing some more grants come our way and go from there. So also we sponsored the STEM Expo, which is mark your calendars, March 7th. And then what else did we do? Oh, we also, one of the highlights, we did 3 elementary schools, East Gresham, Hogan Cedars, Kelly Creek, that did OBOB, Oregon Battle of the Books. So I was just told earlier that there's going to be a competition in March with those schools. Oh, no, can't say anything. All right, never mind. We'll leave that. But that's all I have at this time. If you guys have any questions.
I don't remember when you guys have your meeting, but we did have one of our board members that I think participated, so we'll be looking for a board member. When are those meetings?
Those are once a month, last week of the month, so we're prepared for the school board meeting following.
And their morning meetings?
Yeah, morning, 7 a.m.
That is really, really.
Yeah, right in that room.
Okay.
Back here.
Okay, so, all right,
Yeah.
okay, so we'll see if we can get you another board member to participate in those. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
We've got those on our dates, we've got the things going on, so thank
All
you
right.
very much.
Thank you.
All right. Next up is our superintendent leadership report, and so we will start, I believe probably Mr. Cook will just let you lead through this.
Thank you, Chair. I want to be clear that I can only say so many nice things at a time in meetings at OSC. I have said what I'm going to say. Okay. And I'll read the comments that I prepared. As you get older, many of us notice that time passes more quickly than it did when you were a kid. And we are there again with another school year. We're halfway through. It truly, but it also reflects how accelerated schools have gotten, especially in an information age. Things go fast. Despite the rapid progress, we've maintained steady improvement in key areas. Our student attendance is starting to show some growth post-pandemic, which is good news. We've maintained our literacy initiatives, and we're really starting to see some initial impacts. And I believe if we stay that course, we will continue to see those impacts. And we continue to refine our systems of support at all levels, and that's having an effect as well. We still have growth to do, but we're having an effect. This progress is a testament to the dedication, collaboration, and commitment to continuous improvement demonstrated by the entire community. So now for a budget update. The budget process has been a major focus for our leadership teams the past several months. That's cabinet, instructional leadership team, principals, and the executive leadership team. I've completed individual meetings with board members in January, and we've also established ongoing communication with our classified and certified union leadership. Our finance and human resources teams are also meeting weekly to continue to adjust to a rapidly changing environment. I do want to acknowledge cabinet and ILT because these are difficult conversations that people have to have, and they have spent total now 16 or more hours trying to come to some understanding about what we need to do to address this challenge, and that's hard work. The current proposed K-12 education budget of $11.36 billion, while representing $1.1 billion increase over the last biennium, unfortunately does not keep pace with rising costs. This creates a projected budget gap for the GBSD between $7 million and $11 million. We acknowledge that this projection is subject to change as the legislative budget process evolves in the spring. They may not settle on a number until May or June. However, our collaborative approach allows us to proactively address these challenges, make informed decisions, and minimize the impact on our students and staff while ensuring the long-term financial health of the district. Related to the budget, in this month's budget update, I want to avoid some confusion that may come. You'll notice that the deficit I just described in that budget item is not aligned with my comments about our budget deficit. Oftentimes, people attribute that to my math. That's not how it works. The reasons for this are pretty straightforward, so that you know. Those numbers are December summary. Retro payments to certified staff, as we settled the contract, have not gone out. They go out next week. Additional tax revenue that's anticipated did come in December. And now that we have our audit finished, our ending fund balance changed to a more accurate number so that we could get a more accurate picture. There is one more thing. And this is shifting from the budget. This is more related to the hard work that goes on behind the scenes. We've been actively consulting the crystal ball that I purchased from my office about the weather forecasting this week. And the many, many text messages I've gotten about canceling school from all of you. Predictions over the weekend through today caused us to implement our inclement weather plan. That requires meetings, driving, lots of things. We had a Sunday meeting. We drove the roads early Monday and today. And I want to personally thank Tammy Rickman from First Student because she and her team were phenomenal at assessing the roads for us and giving us accurate information. Terry Taylor and Alan Crafton from facilities because they're out driving. Sarah DuBois, who was up texting me at 3:30 this morning, and I don't know why. All right. And our executive leadership team for the weekend planning and how long these hours are, because we get up 3:30. We're here tonight. That's not a complaint. That's just all the work that goes on behind the scenes to make an informed decision, especially about getting kids to school. So I want to thank them for all that work this week because it's substantial and it's going to happen again tomorrow. All right. Those are my comments.
All right. So anyone else on your administrative team?
No, ma'am.
Okay, all right, perfect. Just looking down here to see what one of the children think. So update from board members. David, do you mind if I start with you first?
It's been a pretty fun-filled 2 weeks. I got to visit Gresham High School, see the new gym, both the Black Box Theater and the main theater. Automotive, thanks to Bess and Bob for donating a car so they can tear it apart. It was pretty awesome. I saw the upgrades, met several staff and teachers. Everyone was happy and positive, including the students, and also the daycare area where John looks. It's a smile like this big. It was pretty awesome. I went to Clear Creek Middle School, got to walk and meet with the staff and teachers, was able to greet all the kids as they got off the buses and went to the gym. Both the staff and kids were extremely polite and thankful that were there. My favorite one was Gordon Russell. I got to participate in High Five Friday. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but we get to put on these big, huge high five hands and high five all the kids. And a lot of them, you go to high five and they're like, so I guess we're not cool. I was invited by Mr. Williams to second period social studies to see a learning game that he starts off with. The kids loved it. And they were really interactive. First period, I needed to find something to do, so I went to the gym, and I played hockey, and I got beat up by Blake's daughter pretty hard. She is very, very competitive. And especially, yeah, she put me through the ringer, and I was sweating. Thank you for all the great stuff, the poems, the et cetera, that was given to me by the teachers and the students for School Board Appreciation Month. I tell you, I really appreciate that. And that was about it.
All right, thank you. Director Riggin.
Well, David always is better than me at having his prepared and type to read, so good job, David. I did not type or write mine ahead of time, but there were a couple things over the last month. We did the superintendent search and interviews, and so that was a time-consuming process, but that was very successful, as you guys all might have heard. And I also was able to attend the life skills New Year's dance, which I didn't get to go to last year because the weather rescheduled it, and so then it didn't work in my schedule. And Brady's here, and she coordinates that and does such a good job. And I also know she's looking for somebody to coordinate next year, so I'll just throw that out there in case anybody else wants to take that up. But that was a really fun time. It's lots of schools send students, but what was really fun for me to see was Barlow sends their leadership class, which my daughter happens to be a part of, to help at that dance. And so it's very fun to see those students engaging with the life skills students and interacting with them and really like being the type of people for the dance. So I greatly enjoyed going to that. Thanks for inviting us.
Okay, Dr. Price.
So when I first off, thank the classified staff. I am one of your peeps. I started out as a classified staff member. I was a school bus driver and was a special educational assistant in a life skills classroom. And then moved on to teaching administration. But you guys are the backbone of our schools, and we should not run without you at all. So thank you so much for all the work that you do. I also attended lots of boys and girls basketball games, from the middle school level up through high school. It's been really exciting, and really thankful that we have that opportunities for our students. I know for my son in particular, that was his motivation to maybe excel more in his grades. So that was kind of one of the key things that we were talking about at the sports committee last year, is like, what is one of the benefits? And one of the benefits is taking kids who may not have that desire academically and bring that in there because they may have something else that gives them that desire. I participated in the superintendent search. I do want to thank my fellow board members for covering for me on the 11th while I was in Vegas attending my nephew's wedding. It was a long day of interviews, and I want to thank them for doing that, but I was able to attend the final interviews a couple of weeks later. And finally, I want to thank the students at East Orient for the wonderful poem and maps that they made. It's Aiden, Elias, and Lucas in room 2 at East Orient. So thank you so much.
All right, Director Hughes.
Along with some of the activities that were already mentioned, that how enormous that superintendent search and how demanding that was in the process of both the candidates and the board. And how grateful we are for the outcome on behalf of the community. I think I have more words, but I want to structure them a little bit better before I ramble. Wanted to congratulate Coach Johnson Barlow for 700th win in his Hall of Fame career. I got to see that. It's the first game I got to get to, and right away stumbled upon Holly and Sean there. We agreed it was not a quorum, and we sat separately. So, there's a tremendous article in there with a quote from one of his current players, Jalen Atkins, that speaks to the profession of educator, how it's been expressed through Tom Johnson's career as a coach, but also as a teacher. I experienced that, if we're going in the Wayback Machine, which we've been in a few times today, deeply personal impact, in spite of the fact that he was never my classroom teacher and he was never my coach. And so just tremendous congratulations and gratitude for the commitment that he's made to his players. Yeah. I think I'll leave it there, but, yeah, it's a good month. Also just want to congratulate our high school programs for getting through finals week, and all of our high schoolers excited to start a new semester.
High school week reminds me that I was driving to work one of those mornings, and I saw the buses coming through my neighborhood at 10:30 in the morning. And I immediately called the superintendent. Is there something I should know about? Why are the kids coming home from school? It's finals week. I guess I don't have kids in finals week. So it's a weird week. But the kids were getting off the bus, so it was a weird week. It's been a busy month. I had to look at my calendar to see some of the things that were going on, and as referenced by Director Riegelman and others, there was a lot of follow-up work after the successful request to have Dr. Tracy Klanger be our superintendent, and we are excited about that. And Director Riegelman and I met with Dr. Klanger to begin the contract negotiations for that. And we expect to bring a contract back to the board at the March meeting. So that's being worked on. I attended the Oregon School Boards Association. It was their priorities and goals weekend, as well as the legislative policy committee weekend. It was a long weekend. And one of the biggest things that they talked about is that this particular legislative session, they're all important. Every single time, they're all important. But this one in particular will be one of those times where we really need to hammer home for our legislators that we have a lot of challenges that we face. There are a lot of things going on, and we need to be right there to make sure they understand what it is that we need and when we need it. And a lot of conversations about money, but also the things that they would like to add to our plate. And we'd like to make sure that they don't add too many different things to our plate. Another thing, I think some of us saw this in the newspaper, that Gresham-Barlow was the recipient of I said the wrong thing, a cybersecurity grant. And that didn't just happen by accident. That involved a tremendous amount of work and planning and application work. So I'm just going to give a shout out to Jeff Gibbs for being a big part of that, to make sure that our district will have access to that grant and make our district a safe place for our students, our staff. I would like to ask Mr. Cook if he's finished with his statements, if you have one that we'd like to make regarding safety in our schools.
There's always things happening behind the scenes, and I do want to give Jeff his due as well. Just having the vision to go for that cybersecurity grant, which will make us much safer from that standpoint, as well as his work with the Caruth issue that we've had where they have been breached and lots of data shared recently. That is a ton of behind the scenes and hard work. He's led that quietly, and it's taken up a ton of time. People don't even know he's leading that work, and we get emails daily, which I hope stops it. Okay. But added to that, I don't want to give away too much, but this is very positive. Our company has reached out to us because this district leads the state in how we center security in our buildings. They want to do a video. They want to highlight Mike and his vision because Mike is the driving force behind that vision. How we integrate our systems, how we do different things, how we make our buildings safer. They see us as leaders. And when that was explained to me, now I understand why, because I've just been in the middle of saying, yeah, this is what we should do. So know that from a safety perspective, we are leading the way when it comes to building safety. Another thing that you should also know is we've started talking with multiple agencies. There was a meeting this week about how we more formalize our systems of communication between agencies related to safety. It was really interesting presentation. It has gotten some traction, and we're already putting in some more formalized processes for how do we work together on behalf of school safety. Those are things we don't share very often. It's not something you want to get out there. That's why I'm not being very specific. But as a district and as a community now, we do lead the way in trying to find safe ways to run our schools. Mr. Chair, that's.
Okay. Thank you. Next up on our agenda, we have two presentations, and I'm going to take chair prerogative and swap those. We have Mount Hood Community College is giving us a very brief update on our bond, and then we have what will probably be a little bit longer conversation from our Metro East Web Academy annual report. So if they are ready, I know that Annette was here earlier, without my glasses, there we go. If you guys would come on down, and you promised that it would be about a 5-minute or so presentation, no slides, couple of questions. Glad to have you guys here tonight. Thank you.
We do have handouts, so I'll leave this.
Okay.
So good evening, Board Chair Howard, fellow Gresham-Barlow School Board members, Superintendent Cook, and to the Superintendent Klinger. I'm Mrs. Sari, President of Mount Hood Community College, and it's our pleasure to be here with you tonight. I'm joined by two of my board members, along with them.
Good evening, my name is Deb Matson. I'm in my 8th year at the Mount Hood Community College Board, representing Zone 4, which is entirely within the David Douglas School District. Further on my background, I served 18 years on the David Douglas School Board, so very familiar with your work. Also 7 years on the OSBA board with Chair Howitt. Always lovely to see Chris again, and she's still doing that hard work for all of you and on the OSBA board.
And I'm Dana Stroud. I am just beginning my 2nd year with Mount Hood. I represent position 5, which is right here in Gresham. And it stands back towards North Clackamas zone just a little bit. My work history is largely doing science in the backyard here, doing some fisheries biology in Gresham and Johnson Creek in the area. And then later studying mental health, and very keen on supporting our students. So today we're here to present about a bond. We came and joined one of your meetings just several months back, and since that time we have been hitting the streets. We have gone to 67 different events over the last 9 months since we spoke to you last. And the purpose of that is really to understand what does the community want and how do they feel about the idea of us going after a bond. We heard that the community values Mount Hood Community College and they want more information about the impact. So we realized the need to share that the Mount Hood bond is not just about financial measures. It's a commitment to strengthen our local economy, expand educational opportunities, and ensure that our residents have access to high-quality facilities and services when they pursue higher education.
So why does this bond matter so much to us? Mount Hood Community College serves as the cornerstone for education, workforce development, and community engagement in our region. With enrollment increasing and our facilities aging, our ability to provide quality education and training is at risk. And as a reminder, bond is going to allow us to do 4 key things. The first is we'll be able to upgrade and modernize our classroom facilities so that our students have a modern environment to learn in. The second thing, we'll be able to expand career and technical education offerings, and these are aligned with the jobs that are in our community and needed by local employers. The third area is to improve campus safety and accessibility, because we want our students, our employees, and community members that are on campus to feel safe, to thrive. And lastly, it's to invest in sustainable and cost-effective operational improvements that'll both reduce our long-term operational costs and create efficiencies.
So this bond was designed to focus on the essentials. It's estimated to cost about 25 cents per 1,000 of assessed value. That means about $5 a month for the average home in our area, which I think is amazing since it's been over 50 years since we passed a capital bond measure. Besides all that, it brings positive economic and community impact. Supporting this bond means supporting our local economy. Mount Hood Community College produces skilled graduates that contribute to our businesses, hospitals, and public services. For example, last year we graduated 236 healthcare workers. 66 of them were nurses. We also graduated 27 cybersecurity specialists, which you might really be interested in now, 18 automotive technicians, and 47 childcare workers, just to name a few. Through improved facilities, we can strengthen our programs and we can close critical labor gaps. In fact, Mount Hood Community College is the #1 provider of higher education and job training in our area. In a single year, our alumni who work in this region, including myself, add more than $350 million to the local economy. Additionally, the projects funded by this bond will create local construction jobs, generate economic activity, and enhance property values in our community. This is an important opportunity to leverage public investment for long-term growth and sustainability.
At school, we recognize the importance of fiscal responsibility, and we've done the work behind the scenes to make sure that we're maximizing the efficiency of these dollars and minimize the taxpayer burden. We want what's best for the community. Strong financial oversight and accountability measures are already in place, and Mount Hood has won awards for its fiscal actions. So today we're here giving you this presentation so that we can ask you to please endorse our bond publicly. We're encouraging your constituents to invest in the future of our city and reinvest in the initial $12 million that was spent to build this college. We want to make sure that education is accessible, that the workforce in Gresham remains competitive, and that our community systems remain strong. Thank you for your time today and your commitment to the students and the community. We welcome any questions that you have, and if there's any uncertainties about this bond, we'd love to hear about it.
What's the anticipated total bond amount? Not per household, but what are you?
136 million.
I have one comment, two questions. The first comment is when you first presented this, my comment was, well, I don't even know anything about Mount Hood. I live here. It had been years since I heard anything. Since then, you guys have hired a marketing, I don't know what her actual title is, but essentially a marketing person. And I've seen that information going out in the community, so thank you for that. Appreciate that. Under the operational budget, I was wondering, does that include turfing your fields? Because that does help with cost. And we have recently turfed our fields and it would be a great complement for our community. So we have all the tournaments and whatnot. So that's one question.
No, turf in the field wasn't included in this.
And the second question is, I know that there was a bond several years ago that ended up getting right around 50%, but then wasn't able to pass. What's the actual percentage that you need in order to pass this bond?
So you're referring to the 2002 bond where we needed a double majority. So it was 50% turnout and 50% of the vote, and we had 50% of the vote not turnout. So that's no longer in place. And so all we need is 50% plus one.
Also, the bond is not going to be used for any new construction. We're entirely using existing construction. But the turf idea is excellent. My son
Yeah.
to write it down.
We did have, as I'm sure you heard last spring, we had extensive community input with community members, business owners and others, formed a team to look at all of the needs. And that was not an item that came up as a priority.
Since we're in the way, oh, yeah, go ahead. Molly.
Just based on that comment, new construction, the pool is listed on here as one of the things the bond would do. Is that not considered construction or?
It's not considered a new building, it's a cover.
Yeah. But that would be done with bond dollars.
Part of it would be, we're also using some other funds, but yeah. And I think I want to follow up, because last time we were here, you asked about the footprint, and I went back and confirmed that it's the same footprint as when we had the dome.
Yeah.
But there's some more space, I think, on the end, so it'll actually be increased.
So we will make sure, and we have retreat coming up in February, and retreat is not what you think it is. A retreat is an all-day event where we spend all day going through and working.
Oh, yeah,
We will put this request for an endorsement on there, and I just want to say, since we're in the way back machine, I was at Mount Hood Community College 45 years ago, getting information and taking a class on computer technology. 6 weeks. It allowed me to get a job at PGE because I could answer yes to the question, do you have computer experience? Yes. And that was all they asked. So Mount Hood was ahead of its time back then, and it was worthwhile. So any other questions from the board on this? I've got your information. I don't have to- Who has? Oh, Dave, okay, go ahead.
I dropped out of it. I'm gonna come back and we talked 30 years ago. But if the steps are the same today as they were 30 years ago, this bond needs to go through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it absolutely does. So,
Thank you.
all right, thank you for coming this evening. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And now next up will be our Metro East Web Academy folks, Meva. So if you want to come up and your presentation, probably Sarah already has that. She will bring that up.
Sure.
Okay.
I think we've had more in the past. So.
Okay. And just remember, as you're speaking, to kind of move the microphone closer to whoever, and I'm going to turn my mic on because otherwise it will lose the sound. So welcome, good evening, and Metro East Web Academy.
Hi, do you want me to introduce them, or did you want to do that? Hi.
I got there.
Carla, hey, you may introduce our lovely folks that are here this evening, that voice from above. Yes, please do. Thank you, Carla.
Thank you, Chair Howitt. In compliance with ORS 3380952, Metro East Web Academy must submit a report to the district and the State Board of Education every year on the performance of the school and its students in the preceding fiscal school year. This report must include, among other things, information regarding the goals and assessments relating to the student performance and a look forward at the school year ahead. Our friends from Metro East West Web Academy are here to present. So now take it away. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Carla. My apologies. I didn't read the paragraph. I was so excited to just have it.
Good evening, Chris Howitt, Board Chair, Superintendent John Cook, all members of the board, and Tracy Klinger, Deputy Superintendent. Thanks for having us this evening. I'm Dr. Christina Strickbine. I'm the Executive Director from the Metro East Web Academy. And with me is Hillary Radford, our Human Resources and Business Manager, Natalie Stager, K-12 Principal, and Christine Calhoun, our Testing Coordinator. The first couple of slides are repeats. You guys have seen these before. It is our mission and vision stated, breaking through barriers in education. And just a brief history, we are in our 16th year of operation. When we started, we had 75 students, and we currently have about 1,000. So we keep on growing. Next slide, please. This year, we went through our annual review with Kristen Miles. We've done a couple of them with her now, and she's been a great guide for us. We used the National Standards for Quality Online Programs rubric, which was a new rubric. In the past, we haven't used an online schools rubric, and this one was very robust, but very applicable. And we met in all standards but two, in which we exceeded. So we felt good about how we had done in that on that rubric. The commendations and recommendations are listed on the right. Commendations, MEWA serves a diverse student population and provides wraparound services. Our population continues to become more and more diverse, and we need to adapt accordingly, and we are. We have a clear governance structure, and we have a very clear orientation for our learner, parent, and guardians as they come into our school. Our recommendations, we had a few things that were out of date. Removed charter school handbook from 2013, which we have done. We gave our teachers a raise last year. We worked on a raise for them. And because of that, we had to remove some things from the budget. And one of those was PD. And her recommendation was that we add that in, which we have done because we were able to adjust the budget due to enrollment. Make sure our SIP goals are measurable, something that we need to constantly look at as SMART goals. Update bylaws, which we have done. And then the last one is kind of an interesting one. Kristen Miles met with some of our middle school students, and our middle school students informed her that they do not appreciate when their teachers text them. So her recommendation was maybe consider communication to students other than text. But the truth is we try every type of communication available to us. And sometimes texting is the one they'll answer to. So I'm not sure we're gonna change that. We probably will continue to text our students. Next slide. This just tells you a little bit about who our student population is. And we have been bringing this data for a few years now. But our mobility rate continues to be right around 50%, which means every year half of our student population is new to us. It's an ongoing churn and it's a lot of work. Our graduation rate this past year did increase by 5%, which is great. We feel good about that. We know it's not where it needs to be, but we feel like it's going in the right direction. And then something that we've been calculating every year are the credits behind that students are when they come to us. And the bar graph up in the right corner there, our ninth graders, second semester, come to us a credit behind on average. Our 10th graders come to us first semester, almost 2 credits behind, and on average, almost 4 credits behind second semester. Our 11th graders are coming to us on average 4 credits behind, and then our seniors are coming to us on average 7 credits behind the first semester and 8 credits the second semester. They're really behind. And because of that, it's a lot of work to try to get them to graduate and try to get them caught up. And then this year we pulled out our 5th, 6th, and 7th year seniors. And on average, they are 9 credits behind when they come to us. So we're working at a deficit, and that's our student population. And we have brought in resources to support those kids. Next slide, please. This is the first year we've calculated this data. One of the things we struggle with is accountability measures, which we're always a little short on. Our 9th graders are behind in credits, and that shows. Our graduation rates are always low because our seniors are behind. And SBAC is an ongoing battle to try to get students to take it. And the truth is, if they're behind in credits, it means they're probably behind in their knowledge too, so they don't do well on SBAC. So all 3 accountability measures are related and they're hard for us. So we've been trying to look at some ways to determine what impact are we having on kids, because we want to have a positive impact, and we want to be able to document that. So this year we looked at how many credits kids are earning before they come to MEWA, and then how many they earn while at MEWA. And our 9th graders on average are coming to us earning 1.5 credits per semester at the school of origin. And with us, they are earning 2 credits. Are they gonna catch up and graduate on time with only 2 credits? No, but it's an improvement. And that's what we want to see, especially with an unengaged population. Our 10th graders were almost exactly the same, 1.5 credits at their former schools per semester and 2 credits with us. 11th grade, I am missing some data. I couldn't calculate how many credits our 11th graders were earning per semester because they weren't staying with us long enough for us to calculate that credit. So I'm hoping that was a one-off last year and that won't continue, but we'll see. And then our 12th graders on average, before they come to us, are earning 1.5 credits per semester, and with us, they're earning 2.5 credits per semester. And we know that our seniors are feeling the crunch, right? It's getting close to 21 when they can no longer attend high school. So we know that there is some pressure there, and we're seeing it. They are starting to earn more credits. And then the data on the right, this is information that you don't see anywhere. It's not on our report cards, it's not on our 5-year completer rates. And these are our 7-year grads. We had 8 7-year grads last year, 7 6-year grads last year, and 34 GED completers. That's 49 students who probably wouldn't have completed or graduated otherwise. We're really proud of those kids. And this is updated information, demographic information. If you look at the last column, this is where we are this year, 24-25. Again, half of our student population is from Gresham-Barlow School District. Our SPED numbers, if you look at the bottom corner there, continue to increase. And I know the district feels that because you provide our SPED supports and we have a lot of kids. ELL population also increasing, our students on 504s are also increasing, and our demographic is very diverse at this point. About half our student population identifies as white, the other half identifies as something other than white. Next slide, please. Oh, and Mrs. Natalie.
So these are our 9th grade on track numbers. As Dr. Strickland was saying, obviously we have a high mobility rate. So from year to year, these aren't always a super accurate way for us to see trends because our kids are coming and going and coming from different schools. But this year, last year, our 9th graders, we had about 62% on track at the end of the year. And then we took out the GBSDs, 9th graders to look at them specifically, and they were at about 43.5% on track. Next slide, please. And then you see our graduation rates here. So our GBSD students who graduated last year, we had 92, and outside of GBSD, we had 90. So almost exactly half our GBSD. And then you can see in the pie chart there, sorry, I got a little bit cut off there, but I believe the royal blue section that says 41, I believe that's Reynolds School District. The big red chunk is GBSD Barlow, and then the bigger light blue chunk is GBSD Gresham. You can see where our students are coming from. And then we were able to grant 22 associate's degrees last year, which is fantastic for our early college students. And then like Dr. Strick, what Vaughn mentioned, did have 34 GED completers, which we're very, very proud of.
These are our goals for our continuous school improvement plan. We have 3 main goals. One is around equity, and we want to see 3% improvement in on-track rates and grad rates for our historically underserved students. And then, of course, improved graduation rates is always on our school improvement plan, as is improved 9th grade on track. And yeah, there's a lot of information on there, but that's the main gist. Next slide, please. And this is Christine.
Thank you. So I'll touch a little bit here on academic achievement. We're always focusing on academic achievement, and that includes both SBAC for our summative assessment and then STAR 360 testing for our formative assessment. So I'm going to touch on both of those. First, for SBAC, historically speaking, I'll just say we've been really proud of being able to meet that 95% completion requirement in years past, but since COVID, we have definitely experienced some lasting impacts, you know, of what happened with that. I will say that, I lost my train of thought there. I will say that we know that our students are expected to participate in SBAC. But we know that they do not need to pass essential skills to receive diplomas. And our data is really reflecting that gap there. So last year, our completion rates were lower than we had really hoped for. You can see that 64% and 63% for math and ELA was our participation numbers. We also had 77 opt-out last year, which is higher than normal for us. We know that as long as ODE suspension of essential skills for graduation requirements is suspended, we're probably going to struggle to get our population to engage with SI testing. And we know too that lots of our neighboring schools are experiencing this. I'll also note that we have a very sensitive population and a lot of our kiddos, a lot of anxieties and other barriers to testing that kind of impacts their willingness or their ability to test. So because of that, kind of was handing out the ODE suspension, but we are working really hard to make sure that our kiddos who are opting out or who are unable to test have the supports that they need. So we're getting them in connection with our counseling staff, making sure that they have connections to academic supports if they're needing it, trying to make sure that they have those wraparound services if they're not able to participate. Moving forward, this year, we'll continue to be just really intentional about supporting those kiddos and then always being real mindful about those ODE graduation requirements and kind of readjusting as the position changes in 27, 28. And then STAR 360 testing. So our formative assessment, just a little part of culture here from you, we're always monitoring academic growth and we work really hard to make sure that our students are participating in some assessment that allows us to gather data about how they're doing. So that is the STAR stuff. And we typically see 70 to 80% participation. So we feel like it's a good capture of how our kiddos are doing. There's lots of ways to interpret that data, but one of the ways that we typically interpret it, or one of the metrics that we look at often, is the GE, which kind of represents grade equivalency and how much students are learning in one academic year with us. And generally speaking, in all previous assessments, we've been able to feel really proud of what our students are demonstrating in their growth. Typically, we see 1 year or more of academic growth in those reports. Last year, we saw a little bit of a dip, so it's about 3/4 of that. You can see the graphs there kind of represent all of that. But what that means for us is that we've had to step back and have some conversations about what we need to do to support our kiddos, what's been going on. And so some of the things that we've done this year to address that is we worked really hard to improve our MTSS system, our referral system, so we're making sure that we have supports in place and we have processes in place to refer our students to the correct supports to get them the help they need. We've also worked really hard to hire new staff to make sure that our teacher to student ratio is effective. And then in some really important grade levels, we made sure to give teachers time so that they have one-to-one time in their schedules to provide one-to-one interventions and support for our students. And just to wrap up the slide, I'll say that we always feel really proud of being able to come together and collaborate and look at this data and make some data-informed decisions so that we can adjust our processes as we need to. Next.
All right, I've got the slide here that talks a little bit about MEWA's finances. This is data that's also shared annually with our bond investors that gives a picture of MEWA's financial health. So cash on hand is equal to $5,288,732. Days cash on hand is equal to 242 days. The amount of cash on hand that's required to comply with our loan agreement is $1.3 million, which is equal to at least 60 days cash on hand. Our debt service coverage ratio is equal to 3.72. And those figures are for the fiscal year 23-24. Next slide, please.
Yeah, and this is the last slide. We're really proud of what we do and who we serve, and we usually put a testimonial on here. We give students of the month, we call them sharks of the month, but we try to do different measures of what makes for a great student. So we do things like responsibility and citizenship and compassion, and we nominate as many sharks as we can. So we have lots of kids getting their certificate, and here's one proud one. But it's fun to see their responses. And one of the responses is in the testimonial there where Josie Minnie, who does the Sharks of the Month, called the parent, and they were so excited because they'd never received Student of the Month before. And it's just really gratifying to see that for kids who maybe haven't got that in the past. Thank you very much. Are there any questions?
Not a question, a comment, as a board member, community member, church leader, and father. So have you guys. I got kids in church that would never be in school. It wasn't for you. And my son's girlfriend, who has had an illness for 2 years in this junior and senior year, just enrolled in your GED program. So thank you.
We appreciate that a lot. Thank you.
We're very glad to have Emily with us.
So I just want to give a shout out. What's that?
I mean, I could go after this one.
No, go ahead, Sean.
So looking at your secondary document that you submitted, it looks like you had the COVID dip, and now you're back up to about where you were. And so you're seeing a lot of growth, which is awesome. One question I have is when you're meeting with new students, why are they choosing you? Why these?
Well, and that's a really good question because we've seen a 30% increase in growth this year and we're not sure why. You know, during COVID, we understood, and this year we're, you know, why is this happening? And if you ask our intake specialists, it's a lot of not feeling safe in schools. We hear that a lot, and we hear a lot of anxiety or depression. And then I think if you look at the kids who come to us and evaluate their credits behind, I think we have a lot of kids who just feel like, I don't want to stay at my school for my 5th, 6th, 7th year, however long it's going to take. I need something different. I think those are the main reasons.
I just wanted to give a shout out. I've attended many of the graduation ceremonies there. They are probably some of the most high energy, family supportive, and family in a broad sense of term. The people that are important to the student show up, and they are truly one of those things. As a board member, we get to go to a number of graduations, and they are all worthy, and I enjoy all of them. But Springwater is they have it at Springwater.
Yes.
So yeah, so Miwa is or actually you guys have had it at the church. There we go. I knew I could get there. It's about time for the break. But it is one of the most exciting ones that I've been to. Yeah, with some of the kids, the excitement is real. I do know that the last time you guys had it, that it was not even quite, it was beyond standing room only.
Yeah,
Fire
we've
safety
grown.
and limiting tickets, which is always a problem because people want to come and support. So I'm gonna just put this on the superintendent, whichever one it winds up being, now to work on it, later to work on it. Comment came up last year about having it outdoor on our turf field at Gresham High School with the bleachers and the stuff, so that we could get more families that would attend and be able to do that. So it's something that I know the space that we've used is at beyond capacity. And again, I throw out to any of my board members, if you get a chance to go, it is truly an experience. So thank you for coming this evening. Any other questions from the board or comments? No? All right. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And we're going to take a brief recess. I think there's some people who might want to gracefully exit. Board members may not gracefully exit. Fall down the stairs and exit if you have to, but we're going to take about a 10-minute recess. Everybody back? Do I need to gavel that? I didn't gavel sound.
Yeah, that's just to get everyone's attention.
All right, good evening, Gresham-Barlow Board of Education, February 5th, business meeting. We are back from our board recess. The next item on the agenda are just committee meeting minutes and or reports. There's a policy review committee meeting December 6th. Committee meeting of policy review on January 17th. District Equity Committee meeting on January 23rd and policy review committee meeting on January 31st. Apparently we meet a lot for policy. There's a lot of policy stuff going on. Next up is association reports. We have the Gresham-Barlow Education Association and we have the Oregon School Employees Association. So I don't know who's going first, but I will turn it over to Matt and Tia.
He had chocolate, so I'll go first. Thank you, Chair Howlett, fellow members of the board, Superintendent Mr. We are celebrating our counselors this week, and we're hoping that everyone else is celebrating them as well. Their hard work and dedication is seen across the board with families and students. And also, the OSCA Chapter 8 Executive Board would like to congratulate Tracy Klinger on her upcoming adventure as superintendent, and we look forward to working with you and with excitement to work with you.
All right. It was barely enough time to get the chocolate out of my teeth, but thank you. Good evening. So I have a mic in front of me, so I'm gonna take a point of personal privilege here for a second. Don't worry, it's okay. I heard Angela moan over here. No, honestly, you know, I made a little remark when I believe it was Tyson from the Gresham-Barlow Education Foundation, his report, and commenting about the Oregon Battle of the Books and their funding of some books for some of our elementary school buildings. So I wanted to make the board aware that on March 15th, I'm going to pause so you can write that down. We will be hosting regional battles at East Gresham Elementary for the elementary level Oregon Battle of the Books. This for me is a big, it's really special for me because I brought Oregon Battle of the Books to East Gresham, I don't know, about 8 years ago. And East was the first elementary school in the district to officially participate in Oregon Battle of the Books. And so we now have 3 schools in our district that are elementary schools that are participating: Kelly Creek, East Gresham, and Hogan Cedars. And not only have we expanded the number of schools in our district that are participating in this amazing program that serves over 300 schools in the state of Oregon, in this just phenomenal battle that encourages reading and the love for reading. But we'll be hosting a regional event at East that'll, I believe it's 5 school districts that'll be joining us on that day. And between 10 and 12 schools that'll be participating in that battle. So it's pretty fantastic. I think my favorite thing about this is I don't have to drive to Hood River this year to participate and support East Gresham in that. So it's pretty awesome. So again, March 15th, mark your calendars, East Gresham Elementary. What time? Yeah, so battles begin around 9. So that's all still being worked out. I'm working with Thomas Moll, if you know him, he works for the district. I don't know Thomas's title. Looking around.
K8 Media. K8 Media.
K8 Media, thank you. So fantastic. Love working with Thomas. He's helping me organize that regional. Again, bring it to East Gresham. Around 9 o'clock will be the battles. The second personal point of privilege before I get into my official remarks. Another date, February 22nd, if you're unaware, that is the polar plunge that takes place in the Willamette in Portland. And this will be the third or fourth year that East Gresham has participated. Jessica Morgan, who is our LE1 teacher, organized that 4 years ago to help raise funds for her kiddos and other kiddos in our district. And she's organized that with Sarah Keenan, who's the district nurse. Those two are going to participate in the 24th of 24. They're going to do 24 plungers in 24 hours in the Willamette to help raise money. I will be joining them, not for the 24 and 24, but this will be my third year. I'll be down there taking the plunge as well.
So if you're looking for something to do on February 22nd, it's just an amazing event to begin with. And it's a wonderful way for you to celebrate and support some of our students in the Gresham-Barlow School District. So 2 dates. First date, remember, it's February 22nd, Polar Plunge. Second one, March 15th, and that is the OBOB at East Gresham Elementary. Oh, I'm logged out on my computer. Help me, Jeff. Good. All right, now I will get into my report. And this is where I read. This is where I'm safe. Thank you and good evening, Chair Howitt, members of the board, and acting superintendent, and he is acting, John Cook. As always, I appreciate the opportunity to speak on behalf of the GBA and its members. The association continues to value and appreciate the time that you invest in the students and families of the Gresham community. I also want to acknowledge, congratulate, and wish the best of luck to Dr. Klinger as she prepares to enter her next chapter with the Gresham-Barlow School District as superintendent. Congratulations, Tracy. And Tracy, just so you know, John was giving me a hard time about my Nebraska sweater tonight. So if you guys don't know, Klinger's also a Husker. Go Big Red. Next, I would like to address the message shared this evening by John and that was sent out regarding the financial position of the district. As a GBA, we acknowledge and respect the financial position of the Gresham-Barlow School District and understand that cost-saving measures may be necessary to ensure long-term stability. However, we strongly emphasize the importance of maintaining adequate staffing levels in our buildings and those departments who directly serve our students. Our schools already face significant challenges, including behavior and safety concerns, large class sizes, and overwhelming caseloads. Any reductions in building level staffing for student support positions would only intensify these issues, directly impacting the quality of education and the well-being of both students and staff. As the district explores cost-saving solutions, we urge decision makers to prioritize frontline educators and staff and support staff. Investing in those who work directly with students is essential to maintaining a safe, supportive, and effective learning environment. Lastly, I'd like to share a message with our community regarding the recent changes to this country's immigration policies. Our hearts are with the members of our community that now live in fear of being separated from their families. I want to take this opportunity to affirm GBA's belief that every student has the right to feel like they belong and that no human is illegal. We are grateful for the countless contributions and rich diversity immigrants bring to our community.
Thank you, Matt. I think we shared your emotional and support for our families and what they're going through right now. So thank you. Thank you. Let me take just a second. So we do have a little bit more business to do this evening. And the next thing, the next thing up is we have a couple of action items, and the first one is the Multnomah Education Service District Program and Services Proposal, the local service plan. It has my name on this as the presenter. Is that accurate, Dr. Klinger?
I'm gonna do it.
Who's gonna do it? There, see, you have to say what you want, because we can't. Okay, it has my name on it, but I am willing to hand it right over there to you.
Okay.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, so thank you, Matt. Good evening, board. All right, so the Multnomah Education Service District Programs and Service Proposal was developed by several advisory committees and reviewed by the local district superintendents. In order for these programs and services to be included in the Multnomah ESD budget, the local service plan must be passed by 2/3 of the districts representing more than 50% of the student population. The estimated budgets for the proposed
programs conform to the guidelines established by the ESD board for the 25-26 school year budget planning. Acceptance of the proposal does not commit the Gresham-Barlow schools to participate in all of the programs included in the plan. The administration appreciates the flexibility offered by the ESD in its programs, which allows the district to adjust the level of service based on changing needs of the student population. So the information specific to the 25-26 MESD services provided for Gresham-Barlow will be summarized at the board. I can tell you a little bit more about it. The full proposal is attached to this executive summary. And I'll share a big portion of what we generally take advantage of is special services for kids who need specialized programs, as well as the nurses who are in our buildings.
This will be an action item, so are there any questions to Donna? The full proposal is in our packet. In particular interest are on pages 33 and 34 that list all of the various partners that we have available to us through this. And again, as Donna just said, the things that are in here does not obligate us to use any or all of them. There is an option for us to use as we need them. And so it is an action item, requires a motion. If there are any other questions or comments on it? Yeah.
I would move to approve the MESD local service plan for the 2025-26 programs and services proposal as.
Do I have a second?
That's it.
Okay, thank you. You're leaving me hanging, my board chair was gonna walk through it. So we have a motion to approve the Multnomah Education Service District Program and Services Proposal, local service plan as presented for the 25-26 school year. Is there any further discussion about the motion? No? All right. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. Motion passes. Thank you. Next up is our annual comprehensive financial report, our ACFR, and financial audit corrective action plan. So good evening. And once we hear the presentation, this will be an action item to accept the report.
Chair, members of the board, as we discussed earlier in the work session, we received our annual comprehensive financial report from our auditors, our KDP certified accountants. And it was a unmodified opinion, which is the best results you can get on a financial audit for a school district. In our discussion earlier, we talked about there are some findings in this report that have not been present in the past, but because of the more in-depth audit that took place this year or last year, these things came to light. And so we have to have a corrective action plan for the Secretary of State, which details how we will address these items going forward. With that, I will turn it over to Margaret, who is the author of our plan.
Thank you so much, Dennis. Good evening, board members and members of the Gresham-Barlow School District community. My name is Margaret Breithaupt, and I'm the Director of Accounting here at Gresham-Barlow School District. As Dennis mentioned, in the state of Oregon, when findings related to an audit are of a certain level, we are asked to prepare a corrective action plan to address those findings and seek the board's approval for said plan. Tonight, I'd like to present to you my plan as the Director of Accounting with my team. In your board packet is a copy of this corrective action plan. There are 4 items. I think it's worth taking a minute to discuss that in an audit, there are different kinds of findings or deficiencies The two that rise to the level that they need to be addressed by the board and the Secretary of State are material weaknesses and significant deficiencies. These are big, scary sounding words for what I would liken to holes in the fence. So what I'm going to talk about tonight is places where we see some holes and the patchwork that we either have already done or are prepared to do to fix those holes. Deficiency number one is a material weakness related to year-end close. Dennis talked about a clean opinion. So you might think, well, then why are we here? It took a lot of work to get there. And I think the best analogy for this would be car maintenance. Let me explain. If you have a car and you take it in every 3,000 miles for regular service, your auto mechanic bills sort of remain at this steady rate in the net. If you only take it in when the check engine light comes on, then it's going to be a bigger deal. What this finding is an acknowledgement of the fact that we as a district, my department can do better at doing with some regular maintenance, some regular checking through reconciliations of things like liabilities and assets, things that we usually don't look at but once a year. We're gonna step it up. We're gonna meet this finding. I have plans to put in place for every area of the balance sheet for statement of net position in our case since our government that this touches, and I intend to do so with the help of the team. What it says here is, the auditors made this recommendation. We agree with them. We intend that this plan will be enacted by on or before June 30th of 2025. This is about internal controls and monitoring, and I think that we have the ability to answer this finding. Deficiency number two is a significant deficiency, which is kind of next rung down. And I actually would like to talk about deficiency number 2 and 3 in conjunction because they're both related to some big accounting concepts that are essentially about timing and how we present things on the financial statements. So significant deficiency 1 talks about accreted interest. To be honest with you, like accreted, I hadn't thought about that in a while. What is accreted interest? Well, when we sold our bonds, we sold them at a premium, and a portion of the bonds were deferred interest bonds. Accountants like to overcomplicate things. And we've made specific rules about when you do exactly that thing, there is a very specific way. And I like to use like spreading butter on the toast, right? Okay. So we as a district might say, we're going to spread the butter on the toast evenly. We like our toast with a little bit of butter in each bite. Accounting rules say, no. You got to spread it this really specific way. 4 years, because as you know, the bond was back in 2016, we've been spreading the butter on the toast evenly. And our previous auditors said, you know what, materially accurate, let's go for it. Our new auditors, because we have chosen voluntarily to hold ourselves to a higher level of accountability, are asking us to align with generally accepted accounting principles. This is a change I welcome. It touches both accreted interest, which is that deferred interest bond piece. And boy, please don't ask me to explain that anymore. And the second is about amortization of bond premium. We sold our bond at these big beefy premiums and we did amazing things with it. And how we account for that premium on the face of our financial statements matters. I also really want to emphasize in relationship to these two findings that these are not findings that impact cash in any way. The amount of debt service that the district is paying has not changed. The amount of tax that is levied against the taxpayers has not changed. The beautiful buildings that we built will not change. The cash in the bank will not change. This is a presentational matter. I want to be very clear that these two findings are related to how we spread the butter on the toast. They are not cash findings. And that the corrections that need to be made to address them have already been made and have been set in place to be effective until the end of the debt service period related to our general obligation. That's 2 and 3. Let's go to 4. Number 4, deficiency number 4, netting revenue and expense. I'm going to use an example that I used at one of our charter schools to explain this, and I think it works really well considering that the Education Foundation was here tonight talking about the grants that they're so generously hoping to share with us. If I'm an elementary school principal and I buy $1,000 calculators, I have $1,000 of expense. If the Gresham-Barlow Education Foundation writes me a check for $500, I now have 1,000 less 500 equals $500 of expense. There's two ways to account for that. One is to acknowledge that you have $1,000 of expense and $500 of donation revenue. The other way to do it is to say, I have $1,000 of expense, and then deposit that check and just bring the expense number down. The net is the same. You still wind up with a net of $500 of expense on your books. But the presentation is very important when it comes to accountants who like to overcomplicate things. This is another one. It's presentational. There's no cash effect. This is something that's going to take some time and effort on the part of my team. It's a practice that's been in place across the district for many, many years. We are prepared for this. We have a plan for this, and it will be a kind of like the oil changes every 3,000 miles. It will be a continued and consistent commitment to aligning our practices with generally accepted accounting principles. These findings were found by our auditors. All of their recommendations I agree with. If I haven't already implemented them, my team and I have not already implemented them, we plan to do so. And I appreciate your time hearing this plan. And I thank you, Chair Howitt. This concludes my presentation.
Questions?
I don't have a question, just a statement. I appreciate that you guys are taking that extra effort and doing this deeper dive as opposed to a less deeper dive. And so it's expected that we may have some of these deficiencies. And I appreciate opening us up to that, to have better accounting practices.
Thank you, Director Barnes.
I move to accept the 2023-24. I didn't jump again, right?
No, you're good.
Okay,
No,
I move to
no, I
accept
stopped you.
the 2023-24 annual comprehensive financial report, ACFR, and approve the 2023-24 financial audit corrective action plan as presented.
So I second it.
Dave,
Oh.
yeah, gotta move fast. So, It's been moved by Blake, seconded by David, to accept the 2023-24 annual comprehensive financial report at ACFR and approve the 2023-24 financial audit corrective action plan as presented. Any further discussion?
I do.
Okay.
I'm gonna work hard not to ramble. For folks who might not be aware, there is a severe shortage of financial professionals in the public sector, a national shortage. And you are threading a needle to find finance professionals who are competent and qualified. And you are just asking for the moon to have them be able to explain complicated financial processes with people like us in the public. And I just want to publicly acknowledge that we have an all-star team. And public accounting professionals are getting hit pretty hard right now, especially in public education, because the rules are exceptionally complicated and they're changing all the time. And I just want to really laud our team. We're with you, and just thank you for the work you've done.
So we do have an active motion, and then we'll clap more after we actually have. But thank you, Blake. I agree with that as well, that we all come as board members with varying levels of understanding, and I will forever remember spreading the butter on the toast. That is it, you know, we worked that out for us. So we do have a motion to approve this. It was made by Blake, seconded by David. No further discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Oh, yeah, so now we are to a information item, graduation process in 2023-24 data review. There he is, Dr. Collins. And we do have a summary in our board packet as well. It's just a 2-page summary. So Dr. Collins, welcome. You're between us and finishing the meeting, no pressure.
Yeah, no pressure at all. Thank you. This one will actually be fairly short for Chair Howitt, the rest of the board. we're required annually to come to the board to update any graduation requirements that may or may not have changed related to students graduating. So the first thing I have to share, the good news, I last was here December of 2023, walked through the different changes that the state had made. There are no changes to the graduation requirements the state has established since I was last here. So just as a quick review, there are 3 things that students for state statute have to complete in order to earn the diploma. The first is the assessment of essential skills. That has been put on hold through 2028 for the class of 2028. The State Board of Education suspended those initially back in the early 2020s, and then they reestablished that, or they re-upped it just this last year to state that the essential skills requirement would be on hold until they figure out what they want to do with that piece. So essential skills is still on the books, but it's on hold at this point in time. The second piece, the personalized learning requirements, those are still in place. That includes things like the educational plan and profile, extended application. That's often a paper that students write their senior year to think back, what have they done over the past 4 years, and how does that impact future steps that they might take. So that's the extended application. And then finally, all of our students are required to participate in career-related learning experiences, at least 2 over the course of grades 9 through 12. So those things are still in play. We track all of those as a part of graduation requirements. And then there's the credit requirements, and those are listed there for you. Our students are required to take a total of 24 credits. The pieces that we added that were added this last year, personal finance education and higher education and career path skills. Those are what the state legislature added in this last session. We're in the process of creating courses for both of those classes. And right now we're going to offer those in the junior and senior years of students' experience. So we'll talk more about those at the board retreat, not retreat, coming up here later this month. We'll give you more of an update on those and the progress we've made with those courses specifically. So that's the brief overview of credits. And like I said, nothing has really changed since December of 2023 for those pieces. So any questions on graduation requirements?
Dr. Harts.
So the essential skills,
Yes.
the 27, 28, that's your freshman class, right? This year?
Yes.
So then if there's no new requirements, then next year when we see this, it'll be say 28, 29, or is that truly the end date?
That is a great question. So as of right now, the state board continues to kick the can down the road with this one. So we're not exactly sure what the state is going to do. The essential skills have been on hold since COVID. So with the class starting in 2020, I believe, was when the pause was initially put into play. And it's extended through 2028 at this point in time. With the change in graduation requirements around both personal finance and the career pathways course, many of the things that the essential skills is looking for and even personalized learning are embedded within those. The other thing with the essential skills that's been a challenge that is brought to the state board specifically, for our students here in Gresham-Barlow, and this is not unique, every one of our students that graduated was able to demonstrate the essential skills of reading and writing. Any student that wasn't able to graduate was due to a credit deficiency and not to an ability to demonstrate essential skills. So essential skills wasn't keeping students from graduating, both within our district and districts across the state. So then the question was, if we're offering students the opportunity to demonstrate competence and mastery in the courses that they're taking, why are we adding this additional requirement for students? And so that's really where the debate is. And so I don't know if we'll continue kind of extending the date down the road. But as of this point, it's just on pause.
Any other questions?
The new graduation highlights, if you have a question, Grace.
I just it's one where it's a half credit requirement beginning January 2026. It's the civics one.
Yes.
And it's sort of not necessarily a question specific to that, but when they add something like that, is that type of content able to be rolled into an existing social studies course? And they get basically credit for doing the civics and credit for a social studies class?
Yes. So in the case of the civics credit, our government course, as we looked at the standards for civics, matched up in line aligned exactly with our government course with a few small tweaks. So we've been doing the civics credit for the last 2 years already. So that was a one-to-one. It wasn't an unfunded mandate like some of these others that are here on our list. That does lead to an interesting question just as far as Senate Bill 3 is concerned. With the personal finance education and the career pathways, recent guidance from ODE mandates that those are actual courses and not that they're spread across various experiences and kind of cobbled together, so to speak, in terms of, I got some experience in this course and I can get a standard in that course. These actually have to be standalone courses in their design and in their intent.
To the link, does the personal finance, do those courses, have they established the standards for those courses? Yep.
The standards have been established, but no content has been identified. So what ODE has done for those courses specifically is they've outlined, there's a kind of 4 buckets, so to speak, for each of the courses. And then within those outlined standards, they would like to see met within those classes. ODE has not identified any curriculum, so to speak, to match those at this point. So we're creating this as we go. And the standards should be linked within.
Yeah, that's what I was pausing.
Yeah.
I was trying to see if I could do my homework right before.
No problem. Yes, and actually, if you look through the standards themselves, and this is one of the things we've been talking about. So even though Senate Bill 3 is an unfunded mandate, we will need to replace courses that are currently on the books in order to make these operate and function. When you look through the standards, these are things that students have asked us that they would like to learn, whether it's personal finance, getting prepared for the next steps, whatever that might be post high school. So the standards themselves and what the courses are looking to accomplish are excellent. And it's a matter of how we pull those pieces in, because it is going to detract from electives as students have the opportunity to take.
Is the financial part of that going to be its own class, or are we talking about rolling it into another class?
So there are 2 things that we're looking at with that one specifically. So personal finance education, we currently offer a financial alpha course. It can be offered or credit by proficiency, so students can take that course and it aligns with the standards fairly well. For those that don't take financial algebra, it will need to be a separate course, financial literacy. And again, the state's outlined the standards for those.
So I worked with Kate Ramsey Education Foundation and the Gresham Rotary. And I got that program actually donated to Cal. And they've been testing it this entire year. I don't know if that's something that we can consider rolling in.
So we haven't looked at the personal finance yet. We're working on the career pathways at this point. But we're open to ideas and options and opportunities, knowing that the state hasn't provided much in the way of guidance for actual curriculum for these courses itself.
So again, just another kind of clarifying question. So there's the personal financial education, 2027. And then we still have 3 math credits. I'm jumping back into the Wayback Machine. That there were times when finance class, bookkeeping finance, didn't count towards a math credit. So do these coexist together, or are they still going to be separate? That if you take a class that's the personal finance, you take it for a whole credit. Does part of that count towards your math 3 credit?
So that's where the credit by proficiency comes into play.
Okay.
So there are some opportunities, and we're exploring those with ODE right now.
Qualified, yes.
Well, yes, with an asterisk, is that
Okay.
correct?
Okay, perfect. All right, this is not an action item, it's presentation, so.
Just take one more piece.
Oh,
Yeah,
one more
more.
piece.
Yes.
You're gonna give us another, yes, okay.
And this one's gonna be fairly fast. So graduation rates were just released last week by the state. So we wanted you to have the initial glance. We'll take a look more deeply in February at the retreat as it's a part of the academic presentation update. It's split up into both data that includes NEWOP. That's what's published on the state website right now. So if you were to go to look at the data files off the state, you'd see the data that's there in that top section. We also take a look at taking NEWOP out, not because NEWOP does anything wrong, but because we have the most control over Stormwater Trail, Gresham-Barlow, and Gresham High School. And so for us, it's valuable to take a look and see what is the impact of NEWOP specifically. And just like you heard tonight in their presentation, the students that they bring in are a different demographic, and some of the challenges that they face are significant challenges. If a student steps in missing 12 credits as a senior, that's a significant uphill battle that student has to face. And so while we see the rate from UW decline this year by 9.2%, last year it was up almost to 60. So for UW, that graduation rate bounces around considerably based on the students that they have that enroll year by year. So good news for us though, our graduation rate overall with Gresham, Barlow, and Sweetwater Trail is 82.7%. We're actually above the state average, which is 81.8%. Last year, we were slightly below the state average, and so this year we've actually eclipsed that state mark most slightly above, which we're pretty proud of. Across the board, we saw increases for both Barlow and Sweetwater Trail. Gresham had a slight dip, 0.1%, basically they're holding steady as far as the graduation rate is concerned. So with that, we'll do a deeper dive into more of the data and we'll pull it apart in just a few weeks, but wanted you to see just that initial data set. And just to see the difference between what you'll see published on the state website versus doing a deeper dive to our specific brick and mortar schools. So any questions on the graduation data?
Yeah. Just to clarify, is that all students enrolled at NEWA or is that only Gresham-Barlow students?
So all students enrolled at NEWA are considered ours for the state of graduation data. Yep.
And just clarifying, public include, so if a student came from a homeschool that was outside Gresham-Barlow, they are now considered ours.
Correct.
I would just, there are other charter credit recovery kinds of programs around the state. I think as you pull apart that data and at a point in the future, maybe it would be helpful to have context. I like looking at both including and not. I would imagine that state average is including credit recovery programs as well across the state. And so just correct, how does our program, the way NEWA supports other students, how does that differ from what other districts are doing? Who are, because our graduation data is below, I just wanted to parse that data to be helpful context.
Okay. Just part of where the numbers come into, it would be sort of interesting, and then you just dive down into the rabbit hole all the way. Where Gresham and Barlow are slightly different. What's the comparative absentee attendance rate between these two? And, you know, that's just one of those, just comparing numbers, what's affecting these numbers? You know, how does that affect if you're not in school? You're not getting the information. And I'm just curious if one or the other has a better attendance rate. If Springwater Trail has a higher attendance rate because it's a smaller school. Just curious. It's just a number.
Okay. And we can look at that later in February. I can absolutely bring those numbers in for sure.
So anything else? Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh, yeah, David.
Just piggybacking on what Blake said. So if I have a student that comes from Park Rose to New York, does that graduation rate be the same Park Rose, or is that this impression is in our district?
So any student that's enrolled at NEWA, regardless of the district that they came from, is considered our student once they enroll in NEWA. So if they came from Park Rose, enrolled in NEWA, then they're not considered part of our graduation cohort, part of our graduation rate. In the same way that if one of our students were to go to a program that Park Rose had, then they would be considered a Park Rose student.
And I think kind of where it gets a little bit messed up, confusing, is that they still live in the district, but they're going somewhere else, or they still live in Park Rose and they're going somewhere else, but it's where you actually attend school.
Correct.
Okay, any other questions from the board? We will see you in February.
Excited.
Okay. Gotta figure out where my mouse is, which screen my mouse is on. So next up is just an information item. I believe we have had that. It was part of our original conversation that we had that was in the consent agenda. I don't know if there's anything else that needs to be reported. We have the data, we have the information, and we've had a lot of finance stuff at this particular evening. So I'm gonna just move right on. So we're to the end. We are up to announcements. I read this every time. Pursuant to Oregon House Bill 2560, which became effective January 1st, 2022, all meetings held by a governing body of a public body, excluding executive sessions, must provide members of the general public, to the extent reasonably possible, an opportunity to access and attend the meeting by telephone, video, or other electronic or virtual means. A Zoom link for virtual meeting attendance will be provided for upcoming meetings. The two meetings that we have coming up, as mentioned a few times this evening, has been our strategic planning meeting, which we refer to as our retreat, which will be on February 28th, 2025. And that is an all-day meeting starting at 8 a.m. and will be at the Partnership Room in the Center for Advanced Learning. On March 5th, 2025, we'll be back in this, no. It says Damascus campus.
Yeah,
Is that tough?
it looks like I put that on there wrong.
Okay.
The Damascus campus should be where the planning meeting is, I believe, for the retreat.
Oh.
And then we would be back here for the other meeting. I think I
So
just,
we'll be,
Nice,
oh,
that's
gotcha,
right.
okay, because I was looking at thinking,
I
wow,
was like,
for
yeah,
Cal, that's not gonna be a lot of room.
Mhm.
All right, so back on the February
School.
28th meeting, we will be at
Mhm.
the Damascus campus in the conference room. Correct? Okay,
yes.
and then on March 5th, we will be back here in this building, which is,
The council,
yeah, I
yeah,
just was looking.
and the
I'm not
public
gonna say
safety and
that.
school.
So it's the council chambers of the Gresham-Barlow district office. Gresham, thank you. It's not here in front of me. What am I supposed to read?
Yes.
All right, so with that, I believe there's nothing else that we are going to do tonight. I didn't make 9 o'clock, so I might as well stay till 10. No, all right, so with that at 9:07, we are adjourned. Thank you so much for being here this evening. Good night.